Today's episode of Jrodconcerts, the podcast, is brought to you by HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. Go to HelloFresh.com/50 Jrodconcerts and use code 50 Jrodconcerts for 50% off, plus 15% off the next 2 months.
A musical adventure, new artists, new musicians, and everyone involved in the world of music. Live from Music City, Nashville, Tennessee, this is Jrodconcerts, the podcast, with your host, Jamie Rodriguez. Let's find out what we have this episode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Jrodconcerts, the podcast. We're so thrilled that you are spending some of your day with us, whatever you're doing, whether you're working out, whether you're driving, whether you're gardening, whether you're relaxing at home. Thank you for being part of J-Rod Nation. So happy with today's guest, ladies and gentlemen. A friend of the show. She's making her return. One of our favorite guests, Alice Merton. Alice Merton making her triumphant return not only to the show, but to the music world. As she just released her latest EP, Heron EP, which was just released very recently on April 12th. It got incredible songs like Pick Me Up, Runaway Girl, just fantastic stuff. Of course, you may know her from her breakthrough song, No Roots, but she is so much more than that, and she is phenomenal. And she is about to hit the road. She's going to hit the North American tour, her biggest North American tour in years. She starts May 6th in Washington, D.C. She's going to be here in Nashville May 13th, but she's also going to hit, of course, New York. She's going to hit Boston, Columbus, Chicago, Denver, and the West Coast, Portland, San Francisco, Seattle, L.A., the whole thing. But make sure you check Heron. It is amazing. And we love Alice. We are so grateful that she was on the show. We talk a lot about interesting stuff. We talk about the inspiration for the music here. We talk about her late grandmother. We talk about her tour rituals. And we're so thrilled that you are able to join us. So stream Heron, check out Alice Merton on the road. And thank you for joining us on this new episode of Jrodconcerts, the podcast. Alice, it's great to hear you, though.
Yeah, good to see you and good to hear you.
Absolutely. Oh, my God. By the way, the new EP by Alice, Heron, is available now. And, you're going on a world tour, Alice, including our stop right here in our backyard in the Basement East. We can't wait.
Very excited. Yeah, I can't wait, too. I'm very excited.
In just a few weeks, But what's it like going on the road for you, Alice?
I mean, it's different every time. Sometimes, I think the last time we did a U.S. tour, like a proper headline U.S. tour, it was 2019. And it was just before the pandemic. And I was so stressed. I was just always stressed because playing live for me was one of the most difficult things because I was so scared all the time. I was just like, I wasn't eating, I wasn't sleeping. And I think in the pandemic, I really kind of took the time to work on that issue of anxiety and figure out like, why do I love making music, but why am I having so many problems performing it live? And there was a moment where I was like, can I continue this? And I realized I was like, I want to do this and I need to kind of reprogram my brain. So I reprogrammed my brain and now I love it.
Fair enough. But I love that. And I was wondering, Alice, because, traditional rock stars used to go on the road and, it was complete debauchery, basically. I'm talking about the male rock stars, but women are much more sensible about this stuff. It's a lot of downtime,
I mean, I'd say it's hard for me to judge if women are more responsible with this. I think it's really important to take care of your body on tour and to take care of your mind. When I see artists not doing that, I think you're making your whole life a lot more difficult than it needs to be. But at the same time, everyone needs something different on tour. Some people are like, I can't do this if I don't have drugs or if I don't have these certain elements or if I know so many people that have different ways of coping with touring. And I don't think there is a right or wrong way.
Totally, totally. You know, Alice, I was watching that show you did in Berlin for New Year's Eve at the Brandenburg Gate.
Yeah.
You have phenomenal musicians around you. I mean, you've been playing with these guys for a while, right? Like the keys guy, Bossy, he's really good.
Busty is great. Yeah. So Busty actually, he couldn't make the New Year's Eve thing because he had another gig he was playing on that day. So actually Busty was replaced by Paul, who is a producer I work with in London. And Paul was like, hey, I would love to play keys for you. So he pulled out the keytar, we got him a keytar, and we just had a really fun time.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious that there's you and your band are like so tight. There's a chemistry. I mean,
I think it's because we've just been playing together for so long. I mean, I met them 10 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I bet you could play Roots with like one eye in your patch and like, one arm in a sling at this point.
I agree. I think that probably could.
But these new songs, Alice, like any nerves about taking them up on the road? These new ones?
Oh gosh, I mean, there's always nerves about taking new songs on the road, but I'm just more excited to kind of test them out. I like to test new songs as well. So, yeah, I'm just excited to kind of see how people react to the new ones and to even newer ones that haven't even been released yet.
Sure. Alice, I was kind of researching your life a little bit and kind of reflecting on you the past few days. And there is, I know, right? And there is this thing that keeps coming back. I started actually almost weeping like when I was reading about it, and it's your late grandmother. When you were a little girl, you had this natural ability, I guess you could put it that way, to sing. But it was your grandmother who also had this golden voice in your family, right, Alice?
Yeah, she was the only singer in our family, and so I guess we always assumed that the talent came from her. Yeah, it was her who really inspired you in so many ways. It just sounds like she was like the greatest woman ever. She was a very spectacular woman. Yeah, she was so strong. Like, she was probably the strongest woman I've ever met. She had to go through a lot. So she was born in Germany, lived in Germany, and she got her parents and her, they all got a call one night because they're Jewish. Yeah. And they all got a call saying, you're going to be picked up tomorrow morning. You need to escape now. So they fled, I think it was from Heidelberg at the time, and literally packed a suitcase full of things and took the next flight out, which happened to be London. And that's where she moved to with her parents. And she had a really tough life. Like, she was sent away because at that time kids were sent away during the war. And they only came back much later. And she's just such a tough lady, and she's a huge inspiration for me. And I think she always will be. She'll always have a special place in my heart. Absolutely. Alice, that's got to be one of the toughest things for musicians, especially a touring musician like you, like a Heron, always on the road. Like when life happens, right? And you're in some city or you're in a bus, like is that like a little bit of like a drawback to it? It is tough. But I think my life has kind of prepared me for that with all the moves, like sure. I've 13, 14 times. I've lost like count. Like, I don't even keep count anymore. But I think life on the road has become easier because of that. Like, I love being in new cities, and I love meeting new people, and I love experiencing all of that. So that was never the part of touring that was difficult for me. It was kind of standing in front of all these people and kind of just spilling my guts and saying, this is how I feel about everything, and them not judging me for it, like there was this feeling in my head where I always was like, oh man, what about if they hate this? Or what about if they think, right. What are they thinking right now? Right. When you start going down that spiral, there's no going back. Like, you can't get out of it. You're just so in your head and you start panicking. So I think, yeah, the going from city to city, I never found really difficult. It was more actually performing. Sure, that makes sense, Alice. But anyway, let's pivot to the new EP, Heron, which is phenomenal. I mean, first of all, incredible. I mean, there's so many bangers. Pick Me Up is so damn good, Alice. But anyway, tell me the story about it, because you were just walking in London, right? Like at night, and you see the bird, and it just kind of stuck with you. Is that what happened? Yeah, so I was in London, kind of just meeting different people, and there was one night where I saw a heron in the middle of the city in Barbican, and it was the most random thing because there were all these like high-rise buildings and new builds, and then suddenly there was like one area where there was like a little bit of like a swamp area, and just all these herons were grazing, and it was so beautiful. And it just kind of, that wasn't the moment I knew that my EP was going to be called Heron, but I think it was a very important moment where I was like, wow,
Sure.
this is a new chapter. There's something interesting about this, about the coincidence of like seeing this kind of animal in such a city or this kind of bird in such a city. And I guess I always kind of compared it to myself, of like always kind of taking off and landing in unusual places I didn't think I'd end up being in.
True. I love that, Alice. Well, listen, you've been so good with your time. Let me leave you with this. How well do you know your feelings? I love that song. I love it. But not only is the song poignant and brings an important kind of question to the listener, Alice, but the video is just epic. And there's like a lost art to videos. I think you and I are kind of the same age. We grew up with videos kind of like being awesome, you know, and I'm so glad you're bringing them back. But, you know, the visual element, it seems like as your career progresses, that like artistic visual part is super important to you, isn't it?
It really is. And I'm really glad that you noticed that. Thank you so much. That's really, really sweet. I wish you could see my face right now because I'm very flattered of you saying that. I think the difference is that a lot of labels nowadays, they're like, we're not investing in videos or the artistic, we're investing in like TikToks. So we're going to make it because that's what people are watching. That's what people care about. And in my head, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to invest still in the artistry and like the actual, like what I'm trying to convey in a visual way. Like, I don't want it to just be about music. I want it to also be about what people see. And that I don't want to just care or like manufacture it so that it fits the TikTok thing, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I'd say I will continue doing that.
Amazing. Alice, well, listen, I'll let you, get ready. Your tour starts May 6th in Washington, D.C. That one is sold out. Yay. But May 13th here in Nashville, Tennessee, the Basement, I tell you, like, we can't wait, Alice, to welcome you to our backyard. So stoked.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Hopefully I'll see you there.
Absolutely, Alice. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
You have been listening to Jrodconcerts, the podcast. Thank you for tuning in.